So my name's Jason Woodward. I'm really excited to be here today. I mean, literally very excited because about 2 hours ago I was messaging Elliot saying, I'm not sure I'm going to be here. The trains seem to have decided they're not running from where I live to London. But thankfully, after taking 4 trains and 2 tubes, I managed to get here, so and on time. So I'm the customer success lead for Access Learning. So I look after our onboarding teams, our support teams, and also our customer success teams. I'm joined by my colleague Bianca today, Bianca Maysmore, who's our CSM team manager. So Bianca manages all of our CSMs in Access Learning. Always one late arrival, isn't there? That's right. And we're also joined today, which I'm really happy about, by 3 of our customers, actually. So we're changing things up a little today. I'm sure everyone's like, oh, we're here to hear from Jason and Bianca about all the things that Access Learning have been doing. But actually, what we are looking to do is to hear from our lovely customers themselves who are actually using Access Learning products and some of their experiences. So I think we'll start with introductions, if that's okay. And I'm going to do the reverse order of my cue cards because actually they are in the reversed order. So we'll start with yourself, Gaz, if you could give us a quick introduction and tell us a bit about you and your organisation.
Of course, no problem. Can people hear me? Yeah, we go. Cool.
Yeah.
So I'm Gaz Underwood. I work for Footasylum. Been there for quite a long time now, to be fair. My role is learning and development content manager. I primarily look after the system and kind of how we can kind of integrate it more into the business. I also create digital content, so we do a lot of video content for our learners and look after kind of the physical learning content as well.
Okay,
is that enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you very much, Gaz. And Stuart?
Hi everyone. Stuart Gordon from the CFO Centre, originally from South Africa, as you can hear by my flat accent. Brought on board to roll out e-learning in our organisation. I've been there for about 3 years now as Learning and Development Manager. So the CFO Centre stands for the Chief Financial Officer Centre. So we're quite unique in that we supply fractional CFOs for small to medium enterprises, and we operate globally. We're the world's #1 provider of that. Been around for about 20 years, and we have just under 1,000 CFOs.
Wow. Okay, brilliant, fantastic. Thank you, Stuart. And finally, Martin.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Martin Russell. I'm the Head of People and Culture at Cofton Holidays. As it says, we are a holiday park, 5-star holiday park, based in Dawlish, down near Exeter, so in the southwest. We are a seasonal business, so we have a lot of non-desk type people that work for us. And being seasonal means that we scale up and scale down our workforce quite rapidly during the seasonal peak and then during the sort of other peaks throughout the year. We have around about 250 people peak, going down to around about 150 people at this time of the year. We have a multitude of individuals that work for us. As you can imagine, running a holiday park means that you have lots of different disciplines. So that means we have lots of different training needs. And I also head up the HR part of the organisation as well. So it's not just the learning development, so it's how that all sort of integrates into one, basically.
Okay, so very busy then. I won't ask what else you're doing when you're not doing that.
Come to London.
Oh, yep, no problem. Okay, so I'm going to come to each of you individually for this, and then we'll have more of a conversation thereafter. So coming back to you, Gaz, how does learning and development fit within your business, and what's your key objectives for the next 12 months?
So I suppose for our department, it's probably kind of linking to kind of the talk we've just had. We've kind of gone a lot more from compliance and kind of just making sure that we're hitting all the kind of the key bits. We got a new CEO about 2 years ago, and his remit was all around kind of like development for all and kind of making sure that everybody gets the opportunity to kind of to grow. So from our side of things, we're kind of looking at how we can completely integrate. We are quite new to Access, so we signed up in September of last year, and it's been that kind of process of how we can kind of join everything up and how we can kind of build that strategy to kind of like interlink to what we're doing. So it's all about how we weave everything into one location and kind of get, you know, everybody working on that platform and kind of really kind of a one-stop shop solution, I guess.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. We'll dig into that a little bit more as we go on through the session.
Yeah.
And Stuart, same for you, please. So just a little bit more about how learning development fits in your business and your key objectives for the next 12 months.
Well, with the CFO Centre, we experience 20% growth annually of the business, which is remarkable.
Yeah, absolutely.
And written into our values is learning and development. It's part of our values are 3: open, progressive, and passionate. So it fits into the progressive. Obviously, if your business is progressing at a fast pace, such as that, it has to be, you know, written into learning and development. And, you know, what really helps is if your CEO and chairman are motivated and it's coming from top leadership, that really helps to drive the learning and development initiatives.
Yeah, I mean, that's phenomenal growth in the last year, so
Yes.
incredible. Okay, well, look forward to learning more about that as the session goes on. And finally, for yourself, Martin, so again, how learning development fits in your organisation and your objectives for the next 12 months.
Yeah, as I spoke before, we do have a lot of onboarding. If you can imagine, we go from 150 to 250 plus attrition. We're probably churning through around about 120 to 130 individuals each year. And that's just the nature of the business. You know, we try to reduce that. But it's key that we train those people. We ensure that those that are coming back, because seasonal, we do attract things like university students that come back and forwards. So making sure that their training is up to date and current as well. So that's the compliance part. A lot of our training is compliance led. A lot of what we do, especially in hospitality, within estates, etc., is going to be compliance led. So we make sure that is embedded within that. Culturally, we'll talk about how we try and keep our success rate high. It is something that is completed within the first few weeks of the actual onboarding process. And we do have other Access products, so we do try and make sure that it integrates correctly with things like people HR, etc., so that we make sure that we have the correct data sets, etc. So yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Well, fantastic. Thank you. And again, looking forward to digging into that a little bit more a bit later on, because I can imagine that's quite challenging having the various seasonalities, I guess, is what you experience. So. Okay, fantastic. Thank you. So just thinking to all 3 of you now, a little bit about the recent upgrade to Access Evo LMS. You've all completed that process now. Just wondering what stood out the most since the upgrade for you. So any particular feature or something that's really made a difference to you and your learners? So, Stuart?
Yeah. The thing that, let me give you an example. So today, I was told that to go, where's it, upstairs?
Yes.
And Jack was saying, you know, go for some coffee and help yourself there. And I'm looking at all this, and I thought, no, I'm not going to partake of any of these yummy things. But then I partook of it because it looks so attractive. And that's the analogy I want to use. It looked very attractive from the old one. That's very inviting. Now, food can taste fantastic, but if it doesn't look good, you're not going to want to try it.
Yeah, it's a very good analogy, and it's actually something that, so part of my sort of broader role in both customer success and in support, actually, it's one of the first things that stood out from our customers. They were saying to us was actually the look and feel is so much better. It feels really modern, responsive, works really well on mobile devices, and actually the number of support cases that we've had, just general how do I do something, is dramatically dropped off because of how easy it is to navigate. So it's great to hear that feedback there. Martin, Gaz?
Yeah, I think I'm going to use the word colour because it's got colour, which is just great because it didn't have a lot of colour before. Which, you know, if you look at the sort of demographic of the people that we employ generally, you know, they live in a colourful world and it engages people much better. So I think that's one of the things which adds obviously to the design and the interface. We were told this time last year it was going to look just like Netflix. It does look a little bit like Netflix. I'll absolutely give you that. You know, it has actually delivered on that promise. I like as a sort of back end user to the system. I think some of the key buttons with day-to-day reports, etc. on it, some quick reporting on it is really enhancing things. I'm looking forward to more of that. But I think just the general sort of feel and touch of it, which is what, you know, I was talking to somebody in the break. You know, a lot of people are engaged within, I think it's something like 0.75 seconds on things like TikTok, etc. If you don't get them engaged when they first sit in front of that PC in the training room, etc., their impression and their inception of the actual product will be very much influenced.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I certainly think back to my early years of working, and e-learning was somewhat different then to now, that's for sure. It's very much what I would once describe as death by PowerPoint, and that's the opposite of what we have these days. And it's a lot more immersive, engaging, and it's not something that you have to sit there for an hour at a time, as we all know. It's literally can be done in smaller sections. So brilliant, thank you. And Gaz?
So yeah, probably mirroring, I think, from my perspective, it's the UX, really, it's the user experience. I think it's far more important to make sure that the learners are going on and getting the right kind of journey. I think the change as well to the check-in section for managers and the look and feel for that, really, because a lot of the people that are line managers spend probably a proportionate amount more time on the platform looking kind of through reporting, but I think that change in how that looks and getting that real kind of key top line analytics for them is really kind of quite good. So I think from my perspective, that's probably the one thing that I think has really stood out from that side of things. As I say, getting users onto the platform, enjoying it, going through that process. We are quite new to the platform, so we had like a small window of the old platform. I was a bit like, ooh, this is going to be a tough sell to the business, but then it kind of came and I was like, oh, cool, that's exactly what we needed. And it's just those little like iterations that keep coming that make it just like a little bit better and a little bit better. So yeah.
Thank you. And and that's something for sure that I'm sure most of you in this room will have seen, that there's been continued iterations and improvements, and that will continue going forward. So it's really great to hear that you found that despite the change, because it was quite a change. I think we moved from 1996 to 2025 literally overnight. So I think, you know, it was quite a big change. But again, it was designed to be different, but not, if that makes sense. So most people would actually be able to still find their way around without thinking, oh my goodness, this is very different to what we had previously. Okay, so just thinking about technology. So I think it's fair to say that technology moves really quickly. Certainly more so in the last few years than I think it has in the prior 5-10 years beforehand. How do you see innovation in learning technology supporting your people and business goals over the next few years? And again, open question. So
I can pick it up a little bit. I think, you know, there's going to be better integration. I think a lot of technology will make sure that a lot of products don't stand alone. I think at the moment we have lots of individual products, especially within some organisations that have, you know, been built over years, where things have been sort of layered on top of each other. And I hope that technology will be able to bridge that, not only just through APIs, which can sometimes be clunky, but through more intelligent ways, basically. I think easier access for learners. I think we've talked a little bit about that, and there's physical barriers, but there's also the barriers of the actual programs. And I think things like making things more bite-sized, making things more video content, making things more palatable to the user. And I think that goes through surveying people, and better compliance with better reporting. So, you know, we'd say we do all these things, but how do we sort of prove that we do all these things? And I think easier reporting functions will be able to give us that sort of validity of what we're doing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think as we've already discussed a few times this morning, and as time goes on, we start to embrace more of AI and how that can integrate into the product and how that can make our life easier. I know I, for one, have fully embraced AI, and it's significantly improved how efficient I am. I could still be better, but I'm definitely better than I was pre-AI. Stuart, Gaz?
Yeah, I echo that. I think one key word comes to mind, flexibility, I think is very key, but flexibility from the client side perspective. To be able to use a system where we can be, introduce flexibility. I'm just thinking, just 2 days ago, somebody sent me an email saying, I don't like that AI voice. I do some development.
I hope it was an AI voice.
It wasn't an AI voice, but very realistic sounding, and people don't really realize it's an AI voice. But I've got to learn that people still need people, that people touch. So we can't just be all focused on technology. We use the blended learning approach. I've experimented with AI characters. People don't want that. They want to see real people with real problems, finding real solutions. That's very important, and we should not lose sight of that. And also, where the flexibility comes in, where our end users can also post their own videos and do things like that and integrate, within one system, not going here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Gaz?
That's me then. Yeah, so I probably, again, I think AI is kind of the buzzword really, right, within learning. I think it's about, for me, it's the personalising a learner journey for people. I think we're always fighting for time with people, and it's about how we make it important. And I think the AI element is almost that kind of how people can get what they want when they want it and how they want it. I think one of the biggest things that I've probably noticed myself doing and not doing is I don't really Google anything anymore. I will chat GPT because it gives me specifically exactly what I'm looking for. Even to the point where I'll go, this is what's in my fridge, can you tell me what to make or what I could make? And I think there's those elements of things that I think we then put that into learning is people sometimes don't want to go through the libraries of everything. They want to be able to kind of see, right, I've got this issue. What can you tell me? What can you pull for me? So I think
prescribes.
Yeah, I think so, and I think that's for me that's the future, and I think really personalising things because I think that's the way AI is. I think that's what we've kind of got to do. We've got to be there in the right time in the flow of work, so we can kind of really help to solve solutions for people really with real issues.
Yeah, I think you're right, and it's exactly sort of the areas that I would use technology myself, and I can really see our direction of travel for the future being very much around that space. Bianca, coming to you.
Perfect, thank you. So we've touched briefly on the migration from evolving from the LMS to LMS Evo. What I'm keen to understand more is thinking about the new user interface, less for you, Gaz, but more for our longer tenured customers. Thinking about the new user interface and the new features, what has made the biggest difference to you day to day in your roles?
I'd probably say, again, quite new. So I think the change for the admin, the home admin, is so much easier to kind of navigate. I think, again, from my perspective, I kind of came into we kind of migrated over to this from kind of like a very basic learning platform. I found it quite overwhelming when I first started, and I think that's the good thing with kind of what's coming now is you've looked at the user experience. I know that's something that's kind of continuing, but now it's that element of how easy we can make it for ourselves, because I spend so much time when I get on it. But again, it's around that education for people with the subject matter experts, is taking people through the platform. Or there's so many different places you've got to click. Again, it's easier for me now to kind of go, well, actually, land on here, you'll find most of the stuff that you want. Click on it, it'll push it to the right place. I think from my side of things, that's probably my biggest time saver, because we're working with the retail side of things, the DC side of things, head office and our studio, is there's so many subject matter experts that will kind of link into this. So for me, it's about how we can make that as easy as possible for the extra people that are going to be kind of starting to do some administration on the platform.
Great.
Is that right?
Thanks. Yeah, that's perfect. Stuart?
I really enjoy those learning belts.
Good. Excellent.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's advertising space. And I mean, I regularly change it or I put a standard one. So what I listen to the business, what's ever going on there, like AI, it's big talk. So I just put 5 and I group them together, spotlight on AI. It was World Mental Health Day, spotlight on wellness. You know, so you're advertising those things that are important that people want to go into. And I've noticed on the report side, I'm looking at, okay, so what are people looking at?
Yes.
And it's all those things that I put on the bell.
Yeah. And changing the belts as well helps end users engage because it's different visually for them when they're logging on. Thank you.
Yeah.
Martin?
And I think I'll echo the same. The belts are fantastic. Love using those. I quite like the quick daily essentials, the stuff that sort of pops up on there as well. I do like the fact that it now captures some historical data of where you've been looking and where you've been searching. So, you know, if you've not got quite the right report that you want, you can go back and it will pull that up and you'll be able to pull that up quite quickly now, etc. And I think coming on to the learners, I think and I talked about it a little bit earlier, it's that learning engagement, it's that first impression. And I think the first impression is far, far greater for the individual. And it's much, much easier to, there virtually is no sort of induction to your training anymore. There's a sort of quick overview of what the screen is, and people grasp it much quicker, whereas before, you literally had to talk them through each part because of the layout and the structure of it. So that's really helped.
Yeah, I guess on that then, Martin, so because of the nature of the seasonalities in your organisation, so a learner will start maybe now and perhaps only with you for six months or so. Previously, I guess there was quite a proportion of time was given to orientate them on the platform, direct them to the specific learning. Is it sort of more self-serve now because of how you've been able to represent things, signpost things in belts, etc.?
Exactly, it's exactly that. It's you know it's the better thing for that as well is now that the managers as well and the assistant managers and the supervisors find it much easier to do it rather than having to drag somebody in, an administrator from HR when it gets a little bit, you know, they don't sort of lose their way a little bit. So we get a lot less of that sort of triaging people into the system. Yeah.
Brilliant, fantastic. Oh, sorry, Bianca.
So thinking about your end users and your managers and other administrators within your team, what's their feedback been in relation to LMS Evo? Because that will be a big change for them too.
Might struggle on this one.
Okay. You get a
We've
pass.
only seen one.
Stuart?
Oh, you're sitting out on that one.
We've only really had Evo in so like we got it in the September and I think the first iteration came and I think a lot of people as we were joining, I was just doing the early adopter and switching on from and going, this is a far better experience. So I think on that side, I think it's been really good. But I think, again, probably on our wider team really, because they were kind of during the onboarding process, they were kind of coming along with us, is they were saying like, this is exactly what we were hoping it was going to be when we first signed up. So I think that will be the biggest thing from our side of things is it's exactly what we would want from an LMS, if that makes sense.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, they really are impressed. I've had no negative feedback. Recently sent out a survey on that. It's all positive.
Excellent.
High NPS score.
Excellent. Brilliant. Yeah.
They love the user interface and the content that's on there, especially the book.
You're going to come and talk about that in a bit more detail. Martin?
I think, as I said before, it's being able to delegate that down to managers. I think the managers have embraced it. They've found it to be really, really. It sort of sells itself purely because it's taking the product forward very, very quickly. So yeah, I think it's all been really, really positive.
Excellent, thank you. Well, Martin, I'm going to dig in a little bit more on some of the topics that we've touched on. So compliance. 98% you tell me this morning. My notes said 95. I've stand corrected. 98% today.
Yeah.
Like, what is the secret to your success?
I don't think there's any secret. I think I came into the role about 2 years ago. The Access was embedded within the organisation, so it was adopted. There wasn't a big sell for me, so I've luckily come into a product that was very nicely embedded within the organisation. We build on it being part of our culture. We build on the fact that people are trained. A lot of people who come to us, maybe they come to us to be a bar person. We will train them to a certain standard, which we call the Cofton standard. Part of that involves having your Access LMS training all done. And then when you leave, you have a certificate, which is an in-house certificate, but it means that they can go on to somewhere else and say, I've actually done something, I've achieved something, even if they've been with us for the 6 weeks of the holidays, etc., to a certain standard. And we will endorse that, and we would also write on any references, etc., that they've got to our standard. And that's throughout the business. So I've just picked on a bar person there. So that helps, that engages individuals, because that's part of the matrix to get your Cofton standard. I think also, I talked about it before, ease of use. I think the fact that we also, within our reporting systems, we target the top 20%. So anybody on 80% or above, we will target to get them over that hurdle, because what you tend to find is people get to about 80% and then they fall off.
Right.
And that is one of the things we see within the reporting. So we'll tier the reporting. We also look at the bottom. So it's a little bit probably like education. So you sort of push up the bottom, get the top over the hill. So we look at anybody that is 35% or below, because it means that they haven't engaged. So that may be for various reasons, and we will look at and drill down into those reasons. It may be that they have some kind of need for extra support in the way that they're learning. The learning style isn't correct for them. They may need assistance, or it may just be that they haven't had time, or their manager hasn't given them time, which is normally one of the reasons. We do have dedicated time, so we work on a rota system, so there is dedicated rota time allocated to training within their first month. We always report on anybody after they've done a month, so we always give a month's grace for them to do all of their compliance training, because we don't expect for somebody to sit in a classroom on day one for, I think our average pathways are about 6.5 to 8 hours, so we don't expect them to do that on day one, because they probably wouldn't come back, if I'm really honest. So we try and do it in sort of bite size and rotor it through. With the reporting side of it, we also look at, because there will be some people that just don't quite get to their training, so there will be a little bit of coaching managers and also coaching those individuals, so a little bit of extra hand holding for some of the individuals that don't either engage, get stuck in the middle, or need just pushing over to get to the 100%. So that there's no secrets, that's just what we try and do on a sort of day-to-day basis, and that's then becomes our culture, and it then becomes what we do. We also lastly have a leadership board for managers on who's got the most compliance. We don't drill down into names, but we just talk about their departments, and some of them have up to 60, 70 people, some of them only have 5, but sometimes it's the ones with 5 that are the ones that are struggling to get over, and the ones with the more higher turnover are the ones that have sort of got it more embedded within their departments. So that's the last thing, is leaderboards.
Excellent, thank you. So you mentioned that you allocate time to your learners to complete their training.
Yep.
So do you have a classroom, a dedicated classroom for them with
we do.
tablets or PCs?
You say classroom, that sounds very posh. It's 2 porta
sorry.
cabins. it's 2 porta cabins, but they're very nice. They have lots of nice heating. They're double walled, tucked out the back. But they are we're just building a new classroom environment above a piece of retail. But yeah, we have 2 porta cabins with 6 desks that can be bookable. So we try and make it as easy as possible. We put tea and coffee in that area.
Nice.
We do everything. We do have it as a no phone zone, because otherwise people tend to sort of kick back on the chair and maybe on their phone rather than learning. So we do make it a no phone zone. But we do have other bits and pieces for them to enjoy whilst they're there, so they can take a break from their learning if they want. So make it as comfortable as possible.
Excellent. So classrooms. Porta cabins.
Porta cabins,
Way
yeah.
forward.
Yeah,
Porta cabins.
absolutely. Good heating, plenty of tea and coffee. That's what I
Plenty of tea and coffee. Soft drinks. We do have soft drinks. Yeah.
No cupcakes on offer, no?
We have working on a holiday park. We don't need to have more cupcakes
Okay.
or treats.
I need to come for a little visit, I
Yeah,
think.
Absolutely.
So as you ramp up for your peaks in the summer and Christmas, how do you maintain that engagement and compliance? Is it the same? Do you schedule in the sessions?
I think the word is ramp up. One thing that I don't know whether we're going to come on to this, but one thing I did do when I joined the business is we did have 3 pathways. So it was very much sort of dip and go, sort of people would come in, do their pathway, and those pathways were really predicted about where you worked. We now have 20 pathways. So we have actually streamlined all the pathways, looked at it against the training matrix that we wanted for those individuals. You know, we had people that were working in food and beverage that were doing step ladder training, and they were never ever going to go on ladders or step ladders and stuff like that. So, you know, it was making it and trimming them down, making sure every manager wants the person there as quickly as possible but fully trained. So it was making sure that the training had validity. I think also when people return or when we have a quick influx, it's making sure that training is relevant really for the individuals is probably the key thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Martin. So, Stuart, just coming to you and a little bit more about your organisation. So, you've got a fairly unique setup, I would say, in CFO Centre, supporting finance professionals across wide networks, basically. How does learning fit into that environment?
All right, so let me just give you a bit of background. So, as I said earlier, you know, we supply fractional CFOs, that's part-time CFOs for small and medium enterprises. Now, the CFOs, or the requirement for our fractional CFO, they must have been in a C-suite executive for at least 15 years.
Right, okay.
So we're not training them how to be CFOs. They come out of, you know, big corporate environments.
Sure.
And so you'll find they tend to be on the older side, at least starting like 45 and older. So they come out of the corporate world. Okay, so the corporate world doesn't look very attractive to them. So they come out of that and they work for themselves.
Okay.
So it's a new set of skills that a finance person has to learn.
Right.
Picture your typical finance person, probably sitting alone at the desk working through spreadsheets and data. The new environment for them is, how do I obtain clients?
Right.
Because they're working for themselves and they'll work with maybe 3 clients on a part-time basis. They're not consultants, they're part of the business.
Right, yeah.
But they want to live the life that they've always wanted to live. They want to come out of the 9-to-5 rat race, park off somewhere, and you know, work for 3 or 4 clients. So it's a whole new skills. And what we do is, you know, so the onboarding process is quite, you know, it's formalized, structured. It's about 23 lessons they have to go through. And we've incorporated a blended learning approach. We're global, so it doesn't always work the same in the UK as it does in Canada, South Africa, Australia, or India.
Yeah, I can
So
imagine.
it's very, so our learning has to be quite flexible. What's very key for us is the support that they receive. For each CFO, they are assigned regional directors,
Right.
usually one regional director for about 10 or so CFOs, and they work together as a team. So my mandate is to come up with learning content and a system that will, a blended learning system that will help these CFOs find clients, win them, and keep them. So it's about relationship building
Right,
as well
okay.
with the clients. And what I've noticed is, you as a learning person don't always think that because you know how to do something, they will automatically catch on to it. This is something totally new to them. And it's just very new, and they really do need that support. So our trainers do regular follow-ups with the CFOs. So that really works well for us.
Okay, no, fantastic. And yeah, I'm from what you've said there, it's clear that the learners really do see the benefit of that, because to your point, they've come, proven background, oodles of years of experience, but actually it's something a little bit different. So they're coming to you for that sort of that best practice in how to
Now
to
we have
approach
to
it.
drill into their
Yeah.
minds, don't think learning is over.
Yes,
You
yes,
know,
of
I've
course, I
learned
can
everything,
imagine.
I know everything.
Yeah.
There's some new stuff to learn.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I think really that sort of is really a nice sort of segue into what I was going to come on to next, which is that I'm actually going to read the stat because I think it's quite incredible actually. So it says that your teams have accessed over £300,000 worth of content through Bookboon Learning, which quite frankly is incredible. I would say, that really is amazing, especially from what you're saying, the sort of the domain is and how you interact with those individuals. How do you see that kind of access to such a vast library shaping the way that people learn and develop across the business?
AI is big talk.
Mm-hmm.
And I see on the Bookboon they've got a category of AI.
Mm-hmm.
And our advertise on our learning belts, point them in that direction. So if they see value in the content, you've got to see value in the content, besides being attractive as well. And the Bookboon has such a wide variety of content. I mean, we have people sitting in our Swindon office, the support team. I know they go into it. They're not looking at the finance stuff or anything like that. They're looking at well-being, different things like that.
Yes.
Our CFOs also, they're looking at, negotiation skills and things like that. So it enhances what they've already learned in a format that suits their learning style. Let's be honest, not everybody likes reading text or even watching videos. Each person is different.
Different way of learning.
So the Bookboon, really facilitates that. The audio learning, the live webinars, the recorded videos. Now they've come up with the nanos, that's fantastic. And also being able to put things into your own playlist. Those are all convenient. Not everybody will latch onto that. That's fine. But they will latch onto something. You just have to offer all of it.
Yes.
They'll latch onto something. Yeah. So for our CFOs, what they really want is give me the learning when I need it, in the format that I want it. If I'm going to a client meeting, I need to, latch on, give me something that's relevant, a refresher that I can quickly go on without going through a whole learning program. Yeah, just that one aspect that I'm unclear of. Give me a search engine that will search through the learning material and that's where it is, without having to go onto a vast library on SharePoint, documents,
Find it.
all over the place.
Yeah.
Just give me everything in one place.
Amazing. And it's also in the format, as you said, depending on the learner.
Yeah.
If it's something reading or just watching a video, it's
I was talking to somebody the other day, and he said, I really enjoyed this. It was about 6 or 7 p.m. What, you going on that time? He said, yeah, while I was taking my dog for a walk.
Okay.
I
Right.
forgot about that.
Yeah.
Amazing. Brilliant.
It was audio.
Of course, yes, absolutely. Yeah, indeed. Brilliant. Well, excellent. Thank you very much for that, Stuart. Bianca, I think coming back to you finally.
Back to me and finally to you then, Gaz. So you've been using LMS Evo to support the onboarding of your new staff in your shops. So do you want to talk us through how you set that onboarding journey up for your new users? Or
Yeah, of course. So as I've mentioned before, a lot of our content is video. Prior to somebody starting the store, we pay everybody an hour for their onboarding prior to them starting the store. So that will cover the HR basics, like what to do if I'm late, where do I book time off, where do I find my rotas, through to like PP and like search processes and things like that. And then we'll also cover like health and safety, GDPR, and sexual harassment. So what we've tried to do is make things quite succinct and kind of be really kind of to the point with information. We've also got in our stores, and we're kind of looking from, I suppose, this period of time, it's all around that kind of that initial bit of onboarding. We've got like about just over 1,000 people coming in for a 8-week period over Christmas. and they'll go out. So it's all around kind of like how we can do things as quickly as possible
Wow.
and kind of get people like through the system, through that basic learning and kind of onto it. As a wider piece, we look at everybody's probationary period as a 3-month period, is that we've got like a library of what I call like a Footasylum YouTube. So it's got everything in there that they'd need to kind of cover, from like how to display products, how to serve customers, all those kind of things. And it's a library that will work through within that 3-month period, which is kind of catered towards kind of their role within the store. So that's something we work quite closely with retail on, to kind of think about what that is. And we'll always set after January, is it still working? Is there things that we can do to kind of enhance that? Is there things that we can do to make it even better for the colleagues within stores?
Wow, that's quite some process for onboarding 1,000 staff for 8-week Christmas period.
Yeah, it's tough.
Better than face to
The
face.
payroll team, when they put them into XD, are like,
Yeah.
it's a lot of donuts.
I can imagine. I can
Yes.
imagine. So you have quite a unique requirement in terms of content. So it needs to be short, modern, super engaging for your end users. So what sort of feedback have you had from your end users on the content?
Well, I think we're a little bit niche, I guess, in terms of that we create our own content. A bit of backstory is, I think I had a bit of a eureka moment in COVID. I lived in a 1-bed flat with my girlfriend at the time, and we had a toilet was broken. Nobody would come out. I went on YouTube, watched a load of videos, fixed the toilet. And I was like, maybe there's something in this. I then kind of went about, because I didn't know how to film, how to edit, how to script, how to storyboard. I kind of was supported through that process with the business. I had one of the videographers in our studio kind of mentored me through that process, and then I created the first piece, which was literally just the onboarding, and they were like, we want more, so how do we do it? And then I got a videographer, and we've just been like adapting styles as we go. Like, I don't really do social media, so I'm kind of a little bit stumped on this side of things, so I rely on my videographer and the retail team to kind of talk me through this. We phased through from like YouTube style tutorials of things now to TikTok style learning, because people want short, sharp, like fast learning. I think one of the chief officer within our marketing department kind of spoke about back in like 2017 that Google said that most of the content people will be consuming will be video by 2024, and it was like 80%, but he said it's surpassed that. It's what for us, it's quite a unique environment where we've got a demographic of 16 to 24-year-olds that are on the phone, that are used to kind of consuming content in a certain way. It won't work for everybody, but what we've tried to do is to try and talk to them in a language they understand. By doing things that they would kind of go through, we've tried to do humour, bad dad jokes, but it is what it is. But yeah, I think it's just about kind of making it as real as possible. Using people from our stores, we put out kind of call to arms from our retail team to kind of say, does anybody want to be involved in this? And we want to kind of use people from our stores, because again, I could be in the videos, which I am in a lot of them, to be fair, but I think people want to see people like them telling them about their processes. So we use those, use people within stores.
Thanks. It's interesting, Jason, that you referenced death by PowerPoints when you started your career, and in just a short space of time, in 4 years, you've gone from YouTube style to TikTok videos.
Yeah,
it's amazing how
it's similar. I think we prior to getting our first ever learning platform, we used to do similar things. We'd put everything on a PowerPoint, send it out and sign it. And I did some visits in stores, and I was asking staff, and they didn't know who I was. And there's some expletives like in there, which I won't say. But that was was genuine feedback for us, and it was a real wake up to kind of go, well, we've really got to think about what we do here, and like again putting the end user in mind, and like who it is that we're talking to. It was a bit of a process to get to that point, because again, I had to go and learn those processes, but I think it's really paid off now, and we get a lot of good feedback from it.
Excellent. So have you found any budding influencers then in your team?
Not within our team, but within the retail team, yeah. So to be fair, there's a girl that we have used quite a lot for especially when we phased over to TikTok. She's an influencer. She's won quite a few awards and has worked on quite a lot of young influencer groups. So we've used her to kind of do that element for us. And then we also use people that just have an interest in wanting to do it. So again, we don't want people always that are like coming in going, yes, I'm already here. We want people that have got an interest in it, because it's about that development and kind of how we can kind of develop people within the business, because they may go, actually, I really quite liked that. How can I look at doing that side of things? A few people have started like YouTube channels off the back of it and kind of like foray into that side of things. So yeah.
Gosh, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible that you're using the LMS as growth opportunities and career development for the team. That's such a powerful story.
I didn't think about it until I was talking about it. I was like, oh yeah.
It's like, note to self.
Thanks. So my last question then, Gaz, is how's the LMS Evo brought, more consistency to your onboarding journey? You've mentioned that you used to go in, mystery shop, where's your PowerPoint? Let's have a look at your signature. No, never did that. So how has the onboarding journey evolved?
It's, I suppose, again, like you've said, we've gone from that paper side of things, and again, we went into our first ever platform, and then we migrated over to this one. And I think probably the big bits for us is like, and it's not going to be anything world shattering for a lot of people, but it's kind of like having that element of like, we used to have, right, you do your learning here, then you fill this out on an Excel spreadsheet, then you complete this form on a different platform. And for us, it's like how we streamline that process for people and make it as easy as possible. A lot of our users within the stores, because they are just young, want apps. And again, talk about in the flow of work, we use all of our sales through iPhones. We don't have tills anymore. So we'll have some in our older stores, we're all iPhone, and we'll have the Access Learning app within that kind of thing. So again, when we're looking at things where, actually, I'm not quite sure, I've had a question about a particular running shoe and I don't know how to kind of sell it and what the key selling points are. It gives that person to kind of go, actually, I've got 2 minutes, I've got a 90-second video on this product. Actually, what can I do to kind of then make sure that I'm ready for the next customer as it comes? So yeah, it's helping us to kind of evolve in that space, if that makes sense. And really, again, like just be there for when people need us, I guess.
Excellent. Thank you. That's really interesting. Thank you, Gaz. I'm going to hand over to
Yes,
you, Jason,
thank
to
you.
wrap up questions,
Yes,
final thoughts.
indeed. Yeah, well, I think firstly, everything that you've been saying today has been absolutely tremendous. I mean, it's really interesting to hear the ways in which you're using the software, and not just the LMS, but with Bookboon and certain integrations with XD and PHR, etc. So it's really excellent. So thank you. I think all I can say really is it's just been a brilliant session. So thank you to every one of you. I know some of you have travelled a very long way this morning, which makes my plight with the train seem minor in comparison to what you've all been through. So thank you very much to the three of you. Really appreciate it. And we've really enjoyed hearing your stories and insights. So thank you.
Thank you.
And finally, I'm just going to hand over to Jack. Where's Jack? Oh, he's there. If by magic he should appear. So,
can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hey, okay. Yeah, I'm just asking if anybody is interested, just from what you've heard, if you want to share your story, I'd love to have a chat with you. Just give me 5-10 minutes. We'd love to hear the weird and wonderful things that you're doing with all of our learning products. Come and have a chat. I will say I am not above bribery. I have got some great merch upstairs that I can give away if you do sign up. So please come and have a chat. And if you're wondering what we essentially do with the kind things that you say, there's 3 main things that we tend to do within Access Voices, which is we turn it into a case study. So your stories, the successes you have can really inspire the next round of customers that come to us. We can even put those stories forward for award submissions in Learning Tech Awards. As you can see, Stuart's there with Sarah Meehan. He attended one a few weeks ago. And also,
surprise.
if you want to take part, we can also as well do video testimonials. We've got a recording set upstairs. We can do guides, and there's even speaking opportunities that you've seen just now. So if you want to shout about it and have your platform and boast about the great things you're doing, come and have a chat and we can see what we can do.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right. We stand.